Like a monkey in heat on the parallel bars. Yeah!
Joan Rivers wasn't just another comedian. She was the woman who reshaped comedy, defied the odds, and built an empire out of wit, resilience, unapologetic honesty. But her life wasn't all laughs. It was a story of brilliance and betrayal, of soaring triumphs and heartbreaking lows. She made Johnny Carson a fortune. When The Tonight Show faced slumping ratings, it was Joan who revived it. She wasn't just a guest. She became Carson's permanent guest host, the first woman in history trusted with such a role. For years, America fell in love with her razor-sharp humor, her honesty about body image, marriage, and Hollywood itself. Carson himself once said, "You're going to be a star." And he was right. But in 1986, a single decision, one joke, one career move, changed everything. Carson turned cold. Within days, Joan Rivers was banned from The Tonight Show. Not for weeks, not for years, but for nearly 3 decades. Her name wasn't even whispered on NBC. The ban outlasted Carson himself, and Hollywood's most infamous feud was born. But to understand Joan, you have to go back further. Born Joan Alexandra Malinsky in 1933, Brooklyn, she grew up in a home where humor was survival. Her father, a Russian Jewish immigrant doctor, used wit to carry the family through tough times, and young Joan absorbed every ounce of it. Struggling with her weight and her mother's constant comparisons to her prettier sister, Joan discovered that comedy could do what beauty couldn't. It could make people listen. When other kids mocked her, she learned to turn their insults into punchlines. Her early years on stage were brutal. For nearly 7 years, she played smoky clubs in Greenwich Village, often earning nothing, sometimes being booed off stage simply because audiences didn't believe women could be funny. But rejection only sharpened her edge. And in 1965, after failing audition after audition, she finally broke through. Bill Cosby, then one of the biggest names in comedy, saw her act and convinced The Tonight Show to give her a chance. Joan was shoved into the final 10 minutes of the show, the graveyard slot no one wanted. But in those minutes, she lit up the screen. Carson turned to her and said, "You're going to be a star." And overnight, she was. By 1983, Joan was making history as Carson's permanent guest host. She wasn't just holding her own in a man's world, she was dominating it. Audiences adored her candor. She could make fun of herself, of Hollywood's obsession with beauty, of celebrities too polished to admit their flaws. She gave people permission to laugh at the very things they were insecure about. And she opened the door for every female comedian who came after her. But Joan's personal life was far more complicated. Her first marriage collapsed within months after her husband admitted he never wanted children. She brushed it off with humor, joking that it lasted 6 months longer than it should have. In 1965, she married Edgar Rosenberg, the man who would become her partner both in life and in business. Together, they seemed unstoppable. But Joan's ambition, Edgar's struggles, and Hollywood's unforgiving spotlight would later create cracks too deep to ignore. Then came Fox. In 1986, they offered Joan something no woman had ever been given: her own late-night show. The contract was staggering: $15 million over 5 years, worth over $40 million today. It was her moment. But when Carson found out, not from Joan herself, but from the press, he never forgave her. He cut her off completely. And in the world of late night, Carson wasn't just a man. He was the king. His silence became a command. Friends stopped calling. A-list celebrities disappeared. Some Fox stations even refused to air Joan's show, afraid of crossing Carson. And then, the unthinkable. Just months after Fox fired them both, Edgar Rosenberg, Joan's husband of 22 years, died by suicide. Joan was left shattered, widowed, broke, and blacklisted by Hollywood. Her career contracts were gone, her Tonight Show appearances erased, and her name became untouchable. In her own words, "I was a pariah, a non-person." In the darkest hours, Joan even considered ending her own life. Alone in her mansion, crushed by grief and $37 million in debt, she sat with a gun in her lap. But then her little dog, Spike, jumped into her arms, literally sitting on top of the gun. That small, loyal companion saved her. Joan later said, "If I go, who will take care of him?" That moment pulled her back, and she turned her survival into a mission, to fight, to rebuild, and to laugh again. And she did. By the late 1980s, she reinvented herself yet again with The Joan Rivers Show, a daytime talk show that won her a Daytime Emmy. In the 1990s, alongside her daughter Melissa, she transformed the red carpet into a global spectacle with the now famous line, "Who are you wearing?" She became a QVC icon, selling over $1 billion in jewelry, and built her fortune back from nothing. She even turned her countless plastic surgeries into comedy, once saying, "I've had so much plastic surgery, when I die, they'll donate my body to Tupperware." Joan Rivers lived loud, bold, and unapologetically. She broke barriers for women in comedy, survived Hollywood exile, and transformed personal tragedy into resilience. Even in her final years, she never lost her fire. And when she passed away in 2014, the tributes poured in, not just from fans, but from the very industry that had once shut her out. She was remembered as a trailblazer, a fighter, and a legend who refused to be silenced. Because that was Joan Rivers, fierce, fearless, and unforgettable.